Aspiring CrossFitters, welcome to the new 6'4 Army training program. It's a 6-week block and it is dubbed the Captain Cycle. This training cycle is a 6-week training cycle starting on October the 21st and will run right through till December the 1st of 2024. And this mainly will involve a lot of running and a lot of engine work. What you're about to hear is how the cycle will flow. For the past 2 training cycles, we've spent nearly a half a year working on our strength development. We've transitioned that into our Olympic weightlifting as well. So we've increased 1 rep max potential. We've increased strength output and hypertrophy type of numbers. But now we're taking a pivot just to allow our central nervous system to take a little bit of a break from all the intense and maximal loads of the weightlifting that has been performed. This training cycle is about the cardiovascular system, recovery, and a lot of skill work. So what does this mean for you? A shift in focus from our strength to cardiovascular development doesn't mean that we're going to leave the strength entirely behind. It basically gets pushed to the side and left on maintenance. We take on less complicated lifts that we can still grow in areas, but there won't be maximal in loads which will be so compromising to the central nervous system, which means it's just taken away from the training pool of development in other areas. For example, if you were to deadlift a heavy single deadlift session once to twice a week, it is generally the load on the barbell that your body can lift the most out of any lift. If you're at the super top end strength category in say powerlifting, it could potentially be the back squat. The grip may be a limitation at that moment, but generally 99% of people, the deadlift is the king of weights being lifted for your 1 rep max. The central nervous system takes a little bit of a beat down just from that maximal load, and it needs some time to recover. During that time to recover, if we keep putting it under high intense environments of all the conditioning work, we kind of pushing and pulling at the same time. We don't allow anything to grow and foster, plus we also put ourselves at risk of injury. So for now, you can imagine we're putting those top end load strength movements away, and we're putting all that energy and shift and focus into the cardiovascular system / skill work training and all the things that still cost time in the gym. The lifts that you can focus on, let's say we'll take a power snatch for example, you can still push that out to maximal ends if you take away a deadlift, because the max power snatch is still only going to be 60% of your 1 rep max deadlift anyway. So in terms of central nervous system depletion, fatigue or damage, it's not going to be at the high end the same way a deadlift would be. We will have an increased amount of running work in our next training. This is going to be in singular modality sessions. We will just constantly run. There'll be options to do intervals up to worth 4 or 5K worth and changing tempo and pace. Steady state runs 30 to 60 minutes depending on your ability and where you're at. There's also many workouts with mixed modal long running intervals. Take a workout in the first week of training, for example, a 3-kilometer run into 30 clean and jerks into 30 ring muscle ups. Yes, mixed modal, you have your monostructural being run, you have your weightlifting being clean and jerk, you have your gymnastics being ring muscle ups. And this is what makes CrossFit super unique. CrossFit is the one type of training that blends all those different modalities in together, and there's really no limit on how broad you can take that scope of work. Expect your running volume to be north of 10K per week, and even up to about that 20-kilometer marker, mixed in with all of your other work as well. Skill development takes center stage. In CrossFit, you may have been in this position before. Let's take a random workout, for example, 50 calorie row, 50 deadlifts, 50 strict handstand push-ups. You get off the row first, you get off the deadlift first, you get to the wall, you can't perform a strict handstand push-up. Why is it so important to do all of this work the fastest and get here and allow others to pass us? And generally, well, it's not about others, but allow us not to move forward from that moment. So the skill takes center stage. We're in the position in our training season. You know, we're right on that bracket of off-season to pre-season. So this is where people should start taking a real good look in the mirror about where they want to take their season next season in CrossFit. We're looking at everything inverted. Wall-facing handstand push-ups, strict handstand push-ups, deficit handstand push-ups, handstand walking, those tools, ring muscle-ups, bar muscle-ups, butterfly chest to bars and pull-ups, toes to bars, rope climbs, seatless legless rope climbs. Those typical CrossFit gymnastic skills are definitely under the limelight in this training cycle, and you can expect for the next 6 weeks that you'll have a lot to do with those things. Alongside that, we'll have grip development specific sessions, and we'll also have midline development specific sessions as well, just so then we're training those components that are allowing and facilitating the whole kind of outcome picture of those gymnastics. We want to look for a shift in mindset in this one in terms of the conditioning focus. The grind is your friend. Embrace the 20, 30, 45-minute workout sessions. Get lost in the grind, the monotonous of it. This is not only good for mental fortitude, it is good for the time domain that we need to be training in, and at least need to be touching frequently. We still have our mixed modal work in that, so we remember that we are specific to CrossFit. We're kind of the only place that has the arrangement of all those modalities into that same working section, and we're pushing it out to that time threshold. And then also, just doing those longer workouts requires you to have a certain pace. That pacing is going to allow us to build a better oxidative system so that we have a better recovery rate, not only throughout the week, but throughout each session, and throughout moving from set to set to set to set, and then bringing that back down into the shorter workouts, the short, sharp burst workouts. As long as we have enough power output, now we've pushed our 3-minute threshold out to 5 minutes because the steady state of oxygen that's there as well. As per, recovery is the key to success. That's not only in the gym, but out of the gym. What are you doing to support the totality of your training? Can I do an extra 8 minutes of mobility before my class starts? Can I do 10 minutes before I go to bed? Am I supplementing that with good nutrition and fueling my training appropriately and accordingly? Those are the things that we need to start thinking of in terms of this training cycle as we ramp up into the next CrossFit season. It's always good to get a running start on these things. As for a per day breakdown of what you will be looking at, volume has taken an uptick because the strength as such has taken a decrease in terms of central nervous system beatdown, which means there'll be less time required in that area. It's basically just going into another area, but you can get more reps achieved at a lower threshold of exertion. So on a Monday, we have a 2-session breakdown. You have a mixed monostructural long conditioning piece. What doesn't take long to warm up. You can virtually do 5-10 minutes of warm up or set up and you're right into it. Think running, rowing, biking, jumping, wall balls, burpees, just something that's very light and monostructural-esque that we can get into immediately, followed by a grip development session. Session number 2 for that day, weightlifting, power snatch is the focus. We have some snatch deficit pulls, and then a medium time domain of a Metcon. What is a medium time domain? Something that probably sits in between 8 to 12-ish minutes is what I would consider in the medium bracket. We have some accessory work that will supplement the weightlifting / Metcon that we've just performed. Remember, it's always good to do those things. It's a slow paced movement. It helps us connect brain to muscle and just isolate some muscle groups that we're trying to develop as well. Finally, you have optional conditioning on that Monday and some monostructural combination, and just get another little breath work going on. On a Tuesday, long run mixed conditioning. We just gave an example workout prior. Run 3,000 meters, 30 clean and jerks, some ring muscle ups. That's a typical type of workout that you're going to see. Once you finish that, we're going to be working on our skill work solely based on a Tuesday. Will be a wall facing strict handstand push-up. So if you need to develop these, this is your session, this is your day for success. And following that, you'll finish with some accessory work of the upper body development. All of that in that same session should only take you anywhere between 60 to 75 minutes. Session 2, mixed modal intervals, so in the CrossFit specificity realm, and then you'll have some bike intervals just to increase that threshold on machines. For a Wednesday, we go back into that weightlifting structure. Power clean is the focus, deficit clean pulls to follow. Remember, we just spoke about high-end central nervous system depletion and what type of weights would that be looking like, maximal deadlifts. We're well within that threshold, 65-70% of that 1 rep max, so we can still push this threshold out. We have back squats to follow, which is going to support our just maintenance level of our squat volume. We've done a ton of work to this point. We don't want to lose it. Potentially, you could still increase that by just doing this 1 session a week as well, with the supplementary work from the outsides that are coming into the bigger picture. The same day, Wednesday, we have a CrossFit Open repeat workout. This whole cycle, you'll have a CrossFit Open repeat workout the whole of next cycle, and we will be going into some quarterfinals, games, semifinals, S-type workouts all the way through that portion of the season, early 2025. Why CrossFit Open repeat? One, it's always good to put ourselves under a little bit of pressure, because you know, and you've been in this situation before, if you've ever repeated a workout, there is a little bit of self-pressure there. It's good to put that in the off-season / pre-season. We're probably forced to have to get better. At least that's how we think about it. So you know that you're going to put in a good performance. We have historical data there. So we know that what our score once was, unless you've really squeezed the juice out of the lemon and there's nothing else to grab out of that, there's probably no point of doing that workout. But I would say for 99.9% of us, that's always going to be valuable, and it's how we can retool and see our progress and growth throughout the seasons. Lastly, on that same day, you have a choice of weakness work on, strength, long conditioning, or just a general metcon that's going to help you get better. That long conditioning was going to be specific to running. As per our Thursday sessions, we generally have a rest day or catch-up day if you've missed sessions throughout the week, or an aerobic session, which is going to be zone 2, zone 3, 30 to maybe 45 minutes worth of work on machines, and then or a swim session. We then recover all of Thursday. Now we're going into Friday session. Handstand walk development, so you can see speed of handstand walk uptake, we can see volume of handstand walk uptake, we can see the skills, the pirouettes, the ramps, and all those type of things happen as a solo entity and focus on. Once we finish that, we'll be going into a bit of a conditioning component. It'll be an EMOM and a for time workout as well. So you have certain reps and thresholds that you have to hit under time frame, and then once we've completed that, now you have a whole block of work of how you can break up how you want. Sometimes that same EMOM or threshold type training is more beneficial for your full-time workout, which is something that we want to try and develop you under this scenario. Accessory work on that day will be largely posterior chain and focusing on just recovering lower body as well. And then in the afternoon or slash session number 2 on a Friday, snatch weightlifting session focus, primers, supplementary work, lunge work just to supplement our back squats, but it's going to be dialed back somewhat. And then you have an optional Fat Boys Club running conditioning piece. We've made it to your final training day of the week, the Saturday. Once again, morning monostructural long conditioning. We're up to about our 3rd to 4th piece of the week doing this type of time frame, 40 to 60 minutes. Once you've completed that, just like the Monday, you had the grip development, now you have the midline development. So something that's not going to be hard to get to start, but definitely the grind that we're looking for and trying to stay in it mentally. Session number 2, you have the weightlifting session. That's going to be the offset to the Friday's weightlifting session. So you have the clean and jerk work and the supplement stuff that support that. We're looking for kind of technical mastery on it. We're looking for good sound reps. We're not trying to jump out the gate with our reps and percentages. We're just trying to dial in some really good work here. Partner workout on a Saturday, always a good way to finish off the training week and have a little bit of fun, to throw down with the mates. So make sure that you've got someone on handy for the next 6 weeks. And then finally, it's up to you whether you do or don't. You have some optional skill or machine intervals. So that's your choice, preference of where are my perceived weaknesses. Do I take my skill route? Do I need to uptake in that? Or do I choose the machine work where I need to increase my aerobic capacity? In summary, this training cycle is about pivoting and transitioning from the strength work that we've done, a little bit of recovery now, engine and running development, as well as our skill work. This is also now the time that we integrate or transition but from the off season into pre-season and how you see yourself moving forward into the season of CrossFit 2025. Personally, I would love to see you on this training program. A lot of time, thought, and effort, I would say, with articulation has gone into it. And I know if you put all of your eggs into this basket, you'll come away with the rewards.